Let us pray. Our Divine Father, as we conclude for this week our work in this assembly, we renew our thanks and ask that we may continue our work under your guidance. Amen.
Now I'm getting nervous.
Introduction of visitors. Presenting petitions.
Member for Calgary McKnight.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to present a petition from 20 Albertans who are opposed to using taxation as a means to achieve the objective of the Clean Air Strategy.
Reading and receiving petitions.
I request that the petition which I presented yesterday be read and received.
Wherefore, your petitioners pray that your Honourable Assembly may be pleased to call upon the Government of Alberta to review the present NEF contours as they relate to Calgary International Airport. These contours have been in place for over 20 years and have been used to make land use planning decisions by the City of Calgary in the area surrounding the airport. Since their determination, the usage level of the Calgary International Airport has greatly increased, and the types of aircraft have been changed drastically. We respectfully request that the contours be reviewed so that it is certain that they are accurate and truly reflect current noise levels. Presenting reports by standing and special committees. Notices of motions. Introduction of bills.
The Honourable Minister of Public Works, Supply and Services.
Mr. Speaker, I beg leave to introduce Bill 29, the Consulting Engineers of Alberta Act. Mr. Speaker, the Consulting Engineers of Alberta Act will acknowledge the consulting engineering industry as having a strategic role in economic development, job creation, and international competitiveness. It will formally identify a strategic industry which provides professional services toward the development and transfer of technology into owner-operated projects that improve the competitive edge of Alberta business. It will also assist in the diversification of the member companies' operations in national and international markets, creating a greater public awareness of this vital Alberta industry.
The Honourable Minister of Public Works, Supply and Services has moved first reading of Bill number 29, Consulting Engineers of Alberta Act. All those in favor of this motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. Carried.
Bill number 29, Consulting Engineers of Alberta Act, introduced by the Honourable Member Mr. Kowalski, is now introduced the first time. Tablings, returns, and reports.
Honourable Minister of Tourism, Recreation and Parks.
Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to file with the Legislative Assembly today the 16th Annual Report of the Alberta Recreation and Parks for the period April 1st, 1990 to March 31st, 1991.
Introduction of special guests.
The Honourable Minister of Federal and Intergovernmental Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to introduce to you a guest of yours seated in the Speaker's Gallery. He is the Member of Parliament for McLeod, Ken Hughes, who is also the Chairman of the Progressive Conservative Caucus from the province of Alberta in Ottawa. He's been here for meetings today, and I would ask that all honourable members welcome him as he rises in the gallery. Be seated.
The Honourable Minister of Consumer and Corporate Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's my pleasure today to introduce to you and to members of the Assembly 9 students with their teachers from the Lycée Louis Pasteur School in Calgary-Currie. The teachers that are there are Alexis Aitken and Bogna Skupinska. And I might say, as they rise to receive the welcome of the House, that this school has sent classes every year to this assembly, and that kind of citizenship is well appreciated, and I'm sure members will like to show their appreciation for their visit while giving their warm welcome.
The Honourable Minister of Transportation and Utilities.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. It's a pleasure for me to introduce to you and through you to the members of this assembly the family from Grimshaw, the Mr. and Mrs. Shannon Websdale family, and they are perfect examples of volunteers that assist to make our Alberta a better place to live. Shannon is the past president of the North Peace Community Living Society. Lynn is the director, and the present president is my wife. They're accompanied by their children, Terry and Rilla, and I would ask them to stand and receive the warm welcome of this assembly.
The Honourable Minister of Public Works, Supply and Services.
Mr. Speaker, a few minutes ago I had the honor of introducing Bill 29, the Consulting Engineers of Alberta Act, and the development of this act was done in consultation with prominent leaders in the province of Alberta who provide consultation services in the area of engineering worldwide. There are a number of these prominent individuals who are with us here today. They're in the members' gallery. I'd like to introduce them and ask them to rise and receive the warm welcome of all colleagues in the Assembly. First of all, President of the Consulting Engineers of Alberta, Mr. Bob Kavanagh, Mr. Alan MacDonald, Mr. Ken Phillip, Mr. Bill Eadie, Mr. Al Oliver, Mr. Andy Jones, Mr. Ed McClellan, Mr. Dan Bader, Mr. Peter Krushelnicki, and Mr. Rick Prentice. I'd ask them to rise, Mr. Speaker, and receive the welcome.
The Honourable Minister of Municipal Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's my privilege this morning to introduce to you and through you 47 fine students from St. Albert High School, accompanied with 3 of our fine educators, Mr. Len Bracco, Ms. Noreen Ehalt, and Mr. Clarence Breon. And I would ask them to rise in the public gallery and receive the traditional acknowledgement and welcome of this House.
Ministerial statements.
The Honourable Minister responsible for seniors.
Mr. Speaker, June 7th to the 13th is Senior Citizens Week in Alberta. It is an opportunity for Albertans to recognize the enormous contributions made by seniors to strengthen our families, our communities, and our province as a whole. The theme of Senior Citizens Week is Seniors, a Strength of Alberta. Mr. Speaker, we are fortunate to have 228,500 seniors living in our province, and it is easy to see how these individuals make our province stronger. Seniors have a wealth of experience. They are active as business people, entertainers, writers, teachers, and in dozens of other endeavors. Older people are a vital part of our families. They provide emotional support and advice, sometimes financial support, and a whole host of activities that go to make up our communities. Many seniors are active volunteers working to help Albertans of all ages. The vast majority of seniors are healthy and living in their own homes. More and more seniors are independent and active. They have a wide variety, an array of interests, skills, and backgrounds. Over the past several years, I've met hundreds of interesting and talented senior citizens in communities across this province. Recently, I saw a notice on the board announcing lessons for seniors who do not know how to swim. Lessons such as these represent a profound change in attitude. 10 years ago, few seniors would have considered the idea of taking up a new sport. Now many seniors are looking at their senior years as an opportunity to try activities they had no time for before they retired. These seniors, by challenging the stereotypes of aging, are leading the way for future generations. Mr. Speaker, Senior Citizens Week is spearheaded by the Seniors Advisory Council for Alberta. This is the 7th year the Council has held Senior Citizens Week, and I want to thank their Council for their many efforts. Along with the Seniors Advisory Council, I invite all Albertans to take part in the many festivities and special activities planned in communities across the province. Join in celebrating Senior Citizens Week to recognize the valuable contribution of seniors.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, we in the official opposition would certainly be glad to participate in Seniors Week, and as usual with ministerial announcements, what is said in the ministerial announcement I don't disagree with at all, Mr. Speaker. The sentiments are good. But as usual, Mr. Speaker, the actions speak louder than the words. I'd remind this government we had a major debate about the cutbacks to seniors programs last year. There's still 9 programs that have been cut. Still makes a lot of seniors very angry, and has hurt a lot of seniors badly, Mr. Speaker. We might, it's the same speech as last year. The seniors are still hurting as bad as last year, Mr. Speaker. And the point I'd make, Mr. Speaker, in housing, as the minister is well aware, is a major problem. Waiting list to get into government subsidized housing, yet that budget's been cut back 20%. You talk to seniors, one of the things they want to do to be more independent, which I think would save money down the way, is what we call the Ears, Eyes, and Teeth program, which would, I think, save the government money. We have a good example in Calgary, the Kirby Centre, which will save money in the long run, that needs some help, Mr. Speaker. And I would remind this government that all seniors aren't the millionaire seniors that the Premier's talked about last year, Mr. Speaker. So we'll look for action rather than rhetoric, Mr. Speaker.
Right on.
Oral question period.
Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it has become evident that this government is doing everything in its power to avoid blame for the Novotel fiasco. Obviously not working, though, Mr. Speaker. But today I would like to file, Mr. Speaker, an order in council passed by the government in January of 1991. Now, Mr. Speaker, through this order in council, the cabinet gave a blanket indemnity to the officials of TELUS who were managing Novotel while it incurred significant losses, Mr. Speaker. And a company or a person who is indemnified is really let off the legal hook for their actions or decisions, Mr. Speaker. My question to the Premier is simply this. Why did the government give these wide-ranging indemnities to both TELUS Corporation and its personnel when the Minister of Technology now is blaming these very people for the problems at Novotel?
Good question.
Mr. Speaker, this would have been a request from TELUS to the government, followed up by the Minister and the Provincial Treasurer.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm going to come and ask for $1 million. I guess I'll get it from the Premier. That's all you have to do. Mr. Speaker, this is a very serious matter because this let them off the legal hook, Mr. Speaker, and made sure the taxpayers would have to pay the bill. I want to ask the Premier why they did this, Mr. Speaker. He signed the order in council.
Right on.
Mr. Speaker, the honourable member would understand that the government owned TELUS, in those days AGT.
Well, we understood that, Mr. Speaker. What a brilliant answer, Mr. Speaker. But let me ask the third question to the Premier, simply this. Isn't it true that the real intent of this indemnity was to make sure that the taxpayers were the losers because of the mismanagement, Mr. Speaker, rather than the good conservatives on the TELUS board?
That's right.
Well, again, Mr. Speaker, the honourable Leader of the Opposition gets into sort of a desperate type of action, striking out, trying to bring discredit to people who he doesn't even mention in a specific way. He just tries to, I guess, the style of the Leader of the Opposition, throw mud in every direction, hope some of it sticks on somebody, which is the saddest kind of opposition.
Second main question.
Mr. Speaker, $500 million gone, and that's the answers we get from this government.
Shame.
Mr. Speaker. Speaker, I'd like to designate my second question, a member from Edmonton Highlands.
Mr. Speaker, this government lately has pretended that it's grown a new part of its anatomy, the collective ears. But what they do, typically, just like the minister responsible for seniors, is they cut programs first and then go out and consult afterwards. Now, the Ministry of Health apparently is no different. On May 29th, the department, under the minister's signature, issued a 3-page statement to hospital and health unit boards in which the minister says, at best, I think we can expect a flat spending level for the health system over the next 4 to 5 year period, Mr. Speaker, and I'm prepared to file copies of this letter with the Assembly. Now, Mr. Speaker, you add that up and I'll tell you what it comes to. If you assume inflation is only going to be 3%, that's being pretty generous. Do you realize that comes to a cut of $250 million? With higher health care costs, the cuts could go even deeper. And my question to the minister is this. Why is this government making cuts, announcing cuts, without consulting the stakeholders first?
That's right.
Mr. Speaker, we probably have in Alberta the most collaborative process of discussing with stakeholders who, in the words of ordinary Albertans, means our health sector, including hospitals, health units, health manpower, physicians, nurses, the most extensive process that's going on anywhere, to my knowledge, in Canada. Many of the other provinces have given up on a collaborative model. We in Alberta are determined to carry one through.
Mr. Speaker, I fail to see how telling these people that they're going to lose $250 million over the next few years is collaboration. Mr. Speaker, I suggest to you that the source of the problem is the government's loss of $566 million in the Novotel fiasco and $2 billion in regulatory failures, and now the health minister is being told to compensate for it. Mr. Speaker, why won't the minister speak up to the provincial treasurer and the premier and say the health of Albertans is not going to be paid for by the bungles of this government in economic development and trade?
That's right.
Speaker, I speak regularly to the provincial treasurer and the premier, and in fact our whole caucus, with respect to the spending in health care and the important things that we have to do in order to ensure that we pass on to the next generation the quality of a health care system that we received from the previous one. And I know that the members in the New Democratic Party are advocates for continuing to add more and more dollars into health. And yet nothing will inhibit our children's choices more than undisciplined spending will. The dollars that we have allocated to health in this current year expand by 4.2%. I think if you look across the country, you'll find that we're among the highest. But it is a year of transition, Mr. Speaker. We have to ensure that we start to reshape our health system, not by adding new revenues to it, but by spending better the extensive revenues that Albertans have dedicated to it.
To pay for the bungles.
That's right. Mr. Speaker, I'm not talking about adding dollars. I'm talking about this government's plan to cut real dollars from the health system. Mr. Speaker, the minister in this letter also talks about regionalization, a policy which, by the way, the New Democrats have advocated for years. But what she's doing, Mr. Speaker, is telling them to regionalize so that they're going to take the fall, they're going to take the blame for this government's cut. Mr. Speaker, will the minister admit that because of the financial losses at Novotel and other bungles, that she's downloading the responsibility of these cuts onto the regional boards, Mr. Speaker?
That's right.
Well, Mr. Speaker, first of all, with respect to the that are underway in health and will be continuing towards the end of June with work sessions all around this province as to why we are doing what we're doing in order to get fundamental health reform, I would refer the honourable member to questions which her own leader posed on May the 11th. With respect to regionalization of services in health, the honourable member will know that the Rainbow Report had recommended 9 autonomous districts be set up in health over and above the existing health governance structure in Alberta. As a government, we rejected the model of regionalization which was proposed in the Rainbow Report
However, what we accepted fundamentally was that regionalization must occur. We can't continue with this process of every single facility thinking it needs everything every other facility has. We need to look at not only geographic regionalization, we also need to look at program regionalization for the purpose of ensuring that Albertans have access to health services and that we have a sustainable healthcare system. The goal is laudable, and I am willing, and so is this government, to work hard with Albertans in order to achieve it.
Honourable Member for Edmonton Glengarry, Leader of the Liberal Party.
Mr. Speaker, my questions are to the Minister responsible for telecommunications. Novotel cost Albertans $566 million. And Mr. Speaker, you have to believe that with that kind of a huge loss, somebody must have been making some money. We now know from the evidence that's coming out of the United States that there is an allegation of fraud involving Novotel subsidiaries in the United States. We know that Novotel borrowed money at high interest rates in Canada, took that same money and lent it off in the United States at lower interest rates. We know that in the United States, there were some $285 million of sales that Novotel affected, but it cost $300 million to affect those sales. My first question to the Minister is this. It is my information, Mr. Minister, that key civil servants advised the Minister not to pour further monies into Novotel. I'd like to ask the Minister, in view of that information, why did the Minister continue to take money from Alberta taxpayers and keep pouring it into this hole of Novotel? Give us an explanation.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I recognize that the Honourable Leader is attempting to go on a fishing expedition to try to conduct his own investigation. The NDP did the same thing yesterday when they put out a news release alleging certain cover-up matters, things that are fully disclosed, the Alberta Securities Commission, all of that. The whole point is, Mr. Speaker, Albertans want an independent review of this whole matter. They want answers. They don't want reviews and investigations. They don't want reviews and investigations by politicians of any stripe. They want an independent review, and that's what they're going to get with the Auditor General. An office of integrity and independence.
You're part of the solution. You're part of the problem.
I would hope that the Minister would try to answer some questions that are put to him. That's not the issue that I addressed. I want to know about those key personnel in your department, Mr. Minister. Let's try another one. My second question is this. We now know about fraud, the allegation of fraud in the United States involving Novotel subsidiaries. I want to know, Mr. Minister, what action you've taken. Have you visited the RCMP? Have you said to the RCMP there is fraud that has taken place? I've now looked into it. I'm convinced that there's a problem. Will you conduct an investigation? Have you done that, Mr. Minister?
Well, Mr. Speaker, in January of 1991, we put a management committee in place in order to take hold of this company, to restructure, refocus it, get back on balance, and sell it or wind it up. That management committee did some investigations with respect to all of the subsidiaries of Novotel to look into their systems, and they discovered that there were some irregularities down there. They brought those to my attention at the end of end of January, early February. We instructed them to take whatever action was necessary in order to get to the bottom of it. They did. Legal actions have been commenced. They're before the courts. If there are any proceeds from those damages claimed, that they will come to the benefit of the taxpayer.
Mr. Speaker, I want to get my questions answered. I don't want the Minister pawning this off on the management committee. I want answers. Did the Minister talk to the RCMP? Did the Minister ask the RCMP to take action and look at these allegations of fraud? That's your responsibility, Mr. Minister.
Mr. Speaker, to the extent of any allegations of fraud, they're being fully investigated in the United States. And so far as I am aware, the RCMP have no jurisdiction in the United States.
The Honourable Member for Highwood.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My questions today are for the Minister of Public Works, Supply and Services, the Minister responsible for lotteries. Mr. Speaker, I'm given to understand that yesterday and today people from all corners and communities of this province and beyond have converged from the city of Edmonton to participate in a conference for Alberta's volunteers. Will the Minister admit that he is in any way responsible for this?
You wouldn't, Mr. Speaker. In 1992, this is the 4th year now that we've hosted in the province of Alberta a volunteer-sponsored organization called Vitalize, and it started 4 years ago, and this is now the 4th year. It's now known as Vitalize 92. And nearly 1,000 volunteers from some 450 volunteer groups throughout the province of Alberta and from about 125 different communities throughout the province of Alberta have gathered in Edmonton last night, today, and tomorrow to discuss a wide variety of matters associated with volunteerism. It's really significant, Mr. Speaker, because it was just in the last couple of years that amendments were made to the Wild Rose Foundation Act in this Assembly that encouraged the Wild Rose Foundation, which is a lottery-funded organization, to expand the whole role of volunteerism. And that went hand in hand with the initiatives of this government that followed through of the results of a very successful international conference. It was held in Paris in 1990, and then a resolution in the United Nations in 1991 calling on nations around the world to extend their hands of friendship and understanding to the philosophy of caring and sharing and devote volunteerism. So this is an extremely successful conference, Mr. Speaker, and yes, we were very much involved, as were all of the honourable members of this Assembly, in promoting volunteerism in the province of Alberta. It's a great spirit.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, to the same minister, would the minister confirm that the costs of Albertans and out-of-province participants will be borne by the taxpayers of Alberta?
Mr. Speaker, all individuals who attend Vitalize 92 will pay a registration fee. It's a registration fee that covers essentially the basic costs associated with the convention itself. Some dollars are allocated through the Wild Rose Foundation, which I repeat is a lottery-funded organization to pay for guest speakers from outside of the province. But there are no expenses allocated to guests from other lands. Mr. Speaker, there also will be a delegation that will be arriving in Alberta today from our sister state of Hokkaido, led by an individual who's the equivalent of a minister in our government, Minister of Family and Social Services from that particular prefecture, who will be spending approximately 1 week in the province of Alberta with other officials from the government of Hokkaido, meeting with volunteer and social groups throughout the province of Alberta.
Member for Edmonton Strathcona.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the problem with Flame Master heat exchangers is more serious than the Minister of Labour would like to believe. Mr. Bill Horyachka is present in the public gallery this morning. He just moved into a basement suite in Strathcona 6 months ago, and since that time has been experiencing serious health difficulties. His Flame Master furnace checked, found it was a defective one, and in 2 weeks his symptoms are clearing up. To the Minister of Labour, given that Northwest Utilities has told our office that they would be quite prepared to cooperate with the department in terms of making sure that personal and direct notice goes to owners of Flame Master furnaces, why is it that the minister has taken no steps to make sure that direct notice goes to the owners of Flame Master furnaces in this inexpensive and convenient way?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We have, of course, taken steps to ensure that owners of furnaces, gas furnaces across the province are aware of the responsibilities they have as owners to always check their furnaces, because all furnaces have the possibility of developing some flaws, and does not matter what brand you own, every furnace has that possibility. As I have said in this House before now, we did, when we first heard that there were some furnaces who were not performing well, went to lengths to get the message out as quickly as possible. We immediately contacted all natural and propane gas suppliers and inspection authorities, alerting them of the reported problems. because of course they are the ones who are have the day-to-day interface with people who own these furnaces. To advise the public at large, we felt the quickest means of getting the message out was through a media release, and that was distributed throughout the province. But again, I want to stress, yes, the flame masters have had problems, as I have said before, but no, they are not the only furnaces that have problems. The fact of the matter is, in Alberta, there are more flame masters than any other single brand. Therefore, in a pure numbers system, there are more flame masters with problems. And on a percentage basis, there are as many problems with other brands of furnaces of this nature as there are with Flame Master. And to continuously harp on the Flame Masters is in fact doing the owners of other furnaces a great disservice, because the danger is that they may be lulled into thinking that they have no reason to be concerned. In fact, the message that needs to go out for every owner of a furnace is that they need to have them inspected every year, regardless of what brand it is.
The notice I suggested would be direct and could be fairly presented to the people. Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Labour continues to repeat her assertions that the Flame Master furnace has no significant difference between reported defects and other models, and this is nonsense. The experience of repair firms in the City of Edmonton, the industry's observations can be verified with the City of Edmonton Gas and Heating Branch. And I suggest the Minister go to those records and see what the facts are. I am asking the Minister, given the discrepancy between her assertions and the experience of the people in the industry, will the Minister now tell the Assembly why it is that she continues to make these assertions? Is it based on false data or simply an attempt to downplay the danger?
Mr. Speaker, it's interesting that the member has only surveyed Edmonton, but let me tell you who all we've been talking to. A person with Medicine Hat Client Services advises that 3 of 8 Flame Master furnaces inspected were found to have cracked combustion chambers. Chief Inspector with the City of Lethbridge reported there were no more reported failures of Flame Master heat exchangers than any other make. Mr. McKinley of McKinley Heated reported that their firm replaced hundreds of units every year of all makes and models, and there aren't any more Flame Masters changed than any other make. Alberta Heating reported that about 20% of the change-outs, only 20%, are Flame Masters. Dick's Heating, whose sole business is replacing heat exchangers, reported that in 1990 he replaced 40 Flame Master exchangers out of a total of 200 replacements. That's only 20%. The City of Fort McMurray inspector reported there is no more of a problem with the Flame Master furnace than any other make.
Please. Order. I have to move on to the Honourable Member for Edmonton White Mud.
Mr. Speaker, this being National Awareness Week, I believe makes my question more appropriate than ever. And my question is directed to the Minister responsible for Family and Social Services. The Minister is now, I would hope, fully aware of each recipient being disallowed from keeping a $565 bequest from her mother. To the Minister, will the Minister assure this Assembly that this unfortunate woman will be allowed to keep this small but last gift from her mother?
Well, Mr. Speaker, first of all, let me say it's difficult to respond to specific files and specific cases in the Legislative Assembly, as the member knows full well that that information is confidential information. But let me talk in a broader sense, Mr. Speaker, about a program that we have here in Alberta, AISH, Alberta Income for the Severely Handicapped. It's a very unique program, Mr. Speaker. There are only 2 other provinces in Canada that have anything even close, and neither are as generous as the program that we have, Mr. Speaker. As it relates to the program, Mr. Speaker, we are providing ACE to some 15,000 Albertans with a wide range of circumstances, a wide range of needs, Mr. Speaker, and we try to address those as comprehensively as we can. But recognizing, Mr. Speaker, that when it does involve 15,000 cases with unique circumstances, from time to time the program might not fit quite exactly the way we would like it to. So we have put in, Mr. Speaker, an appeals process that allows a panel to be able to sit down on an independent basis and address some of those unique circumstances, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, the minister is fully aware, fully knowledgeable on the details of this particular case, as his office has been fully informed of it. And my question was not answered in any fashion. Let me ask the minister, Mr. Speaker, is the minister himself prepared to review this instance and other instances, keeping in mind that the policy has to be revised to do away with this heartlessness that is presently there? It's the policies, Mr. Speaker, that are at fault, and he's responsible for those policies.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the member for Edmonton Whitemud is correct when he says that the minister is aware of the details. And yes, the minister is. I only wish that member was aware of the details before he released the misinformation that he did, Mr. Speaker. Now, Mr. Speaker, I'm not going to deal in misinformation. I'm going to continue to talk about a program that we have in Alberta that is an exceptional program. It's meeting the needs of many, many Albertans. And again, Mr. Speaker, if this member was doing his job, probably what he could have done in that instance was to have helped this individual with an appeal, to get her case before the appeal panel, because, Mr. Speaker, I agree, there were some unique circumstances involved, and that's why we have the appeal process there, Mr. Speaker. And if this person was doing his job, he perhaps would have helped this individual take those steps and have the situation remedied, Mr.
For Calgary Foothills.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. All of us know of the dependency on OPEC decisions in terms of price setting for Alberta crude. Mr. Speaker, in that OPEC prices are stronger, could the Minister of Energy advise the Assembly of the current dynamics of OPEC pricing and its effect on or impact on Alberta producers?
Well, Mr. Speaker, wouldn't you know it, just as we establish a $19 price West Texas Intermediate for our budget, OPEC constrains supply, and we now have a price that's about $3.50 higher than our budget forecast. Mr. Speaker, the New York Mercantile Exchange, which reflects futures prices for crude oil in the North American continent, is about $22.50 for July contracts. And this is a result of the recent May 21st OPEC meeting. At that meeting, OPEC ministers were anticipated to increase the OPEC quota above the 23 million barrels a day of crude oil that is currently coming from OPEC, and in fact only marginally increased the quotas to about 500,000, an additional 500,000 barrels a day. This was substantially less than the market had anticipated, and therefore there is an expectation of a much tighter supply-demand match for the third quarter of this year. There was another aspect, Mr. Speaker. I was at the OPEC meetings on April 23rd last, and there was extreme concern expressed by OPEC ministers with regard to the European community's intent to levy a $3 carbon tax. The OPEC ministers, led by Hisham Nasser, who is Minister of Oil for Saudi Arabia, indicated that possibly the price was too low, and I had a private meeting with Mr. Nasser, and he indicated that this was not acceptable, that if there was a difference between the price and what the market could bear, he felt OPEC should have that in their hands. He has substantial influence on OPEC, Mr. Speaker, and I'm sure that his recent actions with regard to the OPEC meetings have resulted in this lower quota and anticipated higher pressure on supply-demand dynamics for the world.
useful information.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've also noticed, Mr. Speaker, that natural gas prices have gone up. I was wondering if the minister could comment on what has driven the prices up, particularly the spot market price in the U.S., and whether this could actually mean a positive upward forecast for gas prices this year.
Good question. Well, again, Mr. Speaker, just as we forecasted lower prices for natural gas, see that the much anticipated tightness in the market, in the U.S. market, is starting to work its way through spot prices. The U.S. spot price in the last 2 or 3 months has increased about 40%. It's moved from about $1.10, which I believe was February, to about $1.65 in the U.S. spot market. There are a number of reasons for this, Mr. Speaker. We all know that it was only a matter of time before the replacement of U.S. domestic supply matched the blowing down of their reserves. They just have not had the activity to do that. I do believe, Mr. Speaker, this is a reflection of Canadian producers' ability to back out U.S. domestic supply in lower prices, as we've seen. So, therefore, the reserves are not being replaced, and it is having a psychological impact on the market. U.S. economy is strengthening to some extent. Storage has decreased. And, Mr. Speaker, I think one of the most significant psychological impacts is one that is a result of Oklahoma and Texas involved in pro-rationing natural gas into their major markets. So these impacts are all having an impact, Mr. Speaker, and very positive in terms of the revenues to the Crown.
Oh, yeah, this is helpful. Very.
President Calder.
Mr. Speaker, in light of recent events in Saskatchewan regarding child abuse within a daycare, concerns have once again been raised within our own province with respect to the safety of our children. Currently, the numbers of licensing inspectors are too few, and they have no clear parameters under which to operate. I'd like to ask the Minister of Family and Social Services, given that this own minister's staff within his department developed a manual that clearly indicated the criteria for licensing inspectors, but this minister refuses to endorse that particular manual, when will this minister act on behalf of children in this province and ensure that inspectors have clear criteria and support from him so that they can enforce the regulation?
Mr. Speaker, again, I will remind the member for Edmonton-Calder of what an exceptional daycare system that we have in place in this province. It receives some $80 million a year in taxpayer supports. It has an exhaustive team of dedicated workers within our department that even at a time, Mr. Speaker, of restraint, at a time of positions being phased out in government, at a time of downsizing, this particular section of this department, Mr. Speaker, has been increased by over 20% as it relates to the number of employees that we have out there working with daycare operators right across this province. Mr. Speaker, the member also knows that we are not resting on our laurels, that we are not sitting back and maintaining the status quo, Mr. Speaker, that we're continuing to look for appropriate changes. We're continuing to look for ways of improving an already good system. And the member knows, Mr. Speaker, that we're at this very time working with a Parents Advisory Committee that will establish a 1992 version, Mr. Speaker, of appropriate regulations, and that'll be out very shortly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, the minister knows full well that there's a lot of problems within the daycare system unless he does not listen to his own staff. Mr. Speaker, an internal government review of daycare by his own staff indicated that there were serious flaws within the daycare enforcement system, such as no standards for what constitutes risks to persons in care and no limit to the number of infractions before his department takes action against a daycare. I'd like to ask the minister, how can this minister abandon his responsibilities to the safety of the children in daycare by refusing to ensure that these flaws are corrected?
Good point.
Very sumptuous again, Mr. Speaker, as often the way. I just told the member that we're continuing to make changes within this ministry, within this department, that we're continuing to work with our daycare workers, Mr. Speaker, who I have a tremendous amount of appreciation and respect for, Mr. Speaker. They take their responsibilities very seriously. They work hand in hand with parents and advocacy groups and daycare operators. And again, Mr. Speaker, I can only reiterate, we have good daycare in this province. We are the envy of many, many other jurisdictions, Mr. Speaker. And I don't know why this member wants to continually to cast aspersions on the system that we have in place. I know that she wouldn't trade it for what the NDs are doing to the system in Ontario, Mr. Speaker. That's very clear.
McKnight.
Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Advanced Education has publicly supported a move by the Canada Student Loan Program to raise the requirements for student aid from 3 to 4 courses per semester. Individuals with young children, the physically challenged, learning disabled, mature students, and others take only 3 courses because this is the most they can take due to their special circumstances. My question is to the Minister of Advanced Education. How can we be assured, Mr., that Alberta will not cut off hundreds of needy students as the Tory government in Ottawa has done?
Mr. Speaker, I assume the honourable member is dealing with the question primarily of the university students as opposed to post-secondary students. It appears, Mr. Speaker, that it is now taking 5.5 years in the universities to obtain a degree which was intended to be done in 4 years. The Canada Student Loan, which is funded, as you know, by Secretary of State to the tune of some $600 million across Canada, has indicated that they must tighten up that process, and one of the recommendations, which does not seem unacceptable, is for students to become very serious with regard to their studies. Therefore, to qualify for Canada Student Loan, they must take 4 out of 5 courses, i.e. 80% instead of 60% in terms of course load. My view, Mr. Speaker, is that is not unreasonable, and therefore the Alberta government supports it. Bearing in mind that we do have, I believe, a very serious matter to deal with, and that is the whole question of part-time students, many of them who are mature students.
Mr. Speaker, it seems to me that this move does not allow for flexibility and accessibility, especially to women. It is a system created for male students, and because two-thirds of the students who are part-time are women, often with children, I'm wondering if the minister will promise to establish an appropriate student aid program for these needy part-time women students.
Hear, hear. Mr. Speaker, I think there is a lot of merit in the member for Calgary McKnight's suggestion, and I really do think that the Student Finance Board in Alberta should have a look at what her suggestions are, simply recognizing, Mr. Speaker, that there are limits to resources, and that would be borne in mind as the Student Finance Board looks at the very representation she's made.
A member for Bow Valley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I noticed this morning that when the minister responsible for seniors made the ministerial statement on Seniors Week, it was followed up by a barrage of abuse by the leader of the opposition about cutbacks in seniors' benefits. It was also followed up by the Edmonton Highlands member talking about cuts in seniors' programs. Mr. Speaker, I don't like to see us going into Seniors Week with a shadow over the seniors, and I thought I had been following this fairly close, and I would like to ask the minister at this point if there has been any changes made in this fiscal year on seniors programs.
Mr. Speaker, there are approximately 30 programs that this government delivers to seniors. quite a number of those programs are demand-driven. As an Albertan requires a service, they apply for it. Based on those applications, we establish a budget. There's at least 5 of the programs that were changed solely based on that demand, and the demand has been down this year, and that's the simple reason why there has been a change. But the programs have not changed. As a matter of fact, there hasn't been a change to one single program. The one that the Honourable Leader of the Opposition mentioned was the self-contained housing programs, and I have admitted that we're not building as many units this year as we would like, and we're not building as much of anything this year as we would like. But taking that into consideration, Mr. Speaker, and that change to that specific program, we have put an additional $10 million into seniors programs in the last budget. There hasn't been any reduction of any significant amount to any of the programs.
Mr. Speaker, it's my understanding that any cuts that be made in the senior programs from now on will be done through consultation program. Maybe the minister could elaborate on that.
Well, that's true, Mr. Speaker. We have embarked on a consultation process as we promised we would last spring, or a year ago last spring, and it's been very successful. We're meeting with seniors, as a matter of fact, all across this province, and the last of those regional meetings are going to be held next week in Calgary. They've been very successful, very helpful, and they will indeed contribute to any of the ongoing policies for programs for seniors in the future.
Edmonton Belmont.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, last month another 6,000 more Albertans joined the ranks of the unemployed, and we now have 128,000 unemployed Albertans. That doesn't include, Mr. Speaker, the member for Athabasca-Lac-La-Biche who will be unemployed after the next election. And nor does it, Mr. Speaker, include the thousands of Albertans who have given up their search for employment because they haven't been able to find jobs.
Just wait. Rub is going.
Mr. Speaker, in the speech from the throne, the government promised jobs for the unemployed, and subsequent to the speech from the throne, the minister told the Legislative Assembly that members here on this side and all unemployed Albertans would be excited by the government's job strategy. Well, Mr. Speaker, I think it's about time that the Minister of Career Development and Employment announced that job strategy, and I would ask the minister to tell those 128,000 unemployed Albertans what concrete steps this minister, this government is taking to secure job opportunities for those unemployed Albertans.
Mr. Speaker, I welcome the opportunity to respond if the honourable member in opposition will listen. I'd also like to go back a little when he makes a statement about the unemployed in future elections. I would ask the honourable member to check with his former colleague on a small wager he made with me at the time that he has not been able to repay at this date. I would hope that he would reciprocate by carrying on that message. But Mr. Speaker, let's be more specific. Alberta still remains the second best province in Canada, with the highest participation rate and more Albertans working in any other province in comparative speaking. We also have a 66.1% employment population ratio, which is the highest in Canada. We now show through the month of May some 34,700 jobs or more people working than in last year at this time. We also have seen some 34,000 people enter to the labor force, which is the only province to show once again more people coming in through in-migration and wanting to come to the province for the opportunity to work. In a specific area, though, that the honourable member refers to, is what is the province doing? Where was he when the provincial treasurer and the Minister of Municipal Affairs announced the $200 million program that's taking place? Those are just some of the small initiatives that are taking place, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, there is also an area that I want to refer to, and that's the Summer Temporary Employment Program, to help the youth and the unemployed in that particular area. We have put in some $10 million to this program, the same as last year. Now, the honourable member in the opposition will say this isn't enough. But I'd like them to go back and refer to other provinces and see what they are doing in comparison. We lead all other provinces with only programs such as it is in place. I also, Mr. Speaker, just happen to have articles from most daily and weekly newspapers, EASA Summer Job Search Plan, and I happen to look at the honourable member for Lethbridge and note within his community some 1,200 jobs open for students. The employment officer says she hopes 1,500 work situations can be found this summer. The list goes on and on and on, and I believe I've gone on and on as well, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Career Development and Employment announces that there's a $10 million program for summer temporary employment, but he fails to mention the fact that that program was cut by 50% 2 fiscal years ago, and he and his government ought to be ashamed of that, especially, Mr. Speaker, in light of the fact that the unemployment rate for young people between the ages of 16 and 24 is now at a staggering 15.7%, higher than in any recent year. That's grossly unfair to the unemployed, and it's going to lead to chronic unemployment for some of those young people, and that is shameful. Mr. Speaker, I would ask the minister, what new programs this fiscal year are directed to young people between the ages of 16 and 24 so that they have an opportunity to get into that job market?
Well, Mr. Speaker, we have many programs to assist in the development and job creation, and specifically in the areas of helping people integrate into the workforce. But one thing I should point out, there are more students as well. Those statistics are alarming because there are more people going back to school and more people then become and enter into the labor force. But I don't want to leave the Assembly or with the honourable member or any member not fully aware that we care. We care as much as anybody, and particularly those that are unemployed. We're going to continue to work with them, and that's our goal and objective. We want to remain the second best, and our goal is to be the best.
Time for question period has expired. May we revert briefly to the introduction of special guests? Opposed? Carried. The honourable member for Tabor-Warner, followed by...
Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to introduce a group of grade 8 students from the Earl Rivers High School in Milk River, 2 members of the Assembly. These students are accompanied by parents Mrs. Elaine Miner and Mrs. Sharon Hyrath, and by teachers Mr. John Parker and Mr. Brian Ammon. They're in the public gallery. I would ask the students and the teachers and parents to rise, receive the warm welcome of the Assembly.
The honourable member for Clover Bar.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to introduce to you today and to members of the Assembly 24 visitors from the St. Luke's School in the Clover Bar constituency. St. Luke's School is one of the few schools in Alberta that's been designed completely as an energy-efficient school. The students that are visiting us here today are accompanied by Mr. and Mrs. Muller, and Mrs. Wood. I would ask our guests who are seated in the members' gallery to rise to receive the warm and traditional welcome of this Assembly.
The honourable member for Redwater, Andrew.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's a pleasure for me to introduce to you and to the Assembly a fine group of students from the H.A. Costish School at Smoky Lake. They're a group of 53 students, and they're accompanied by teachers Mrs. Boychuk, Mrs. Lescu, and Mrs. Patnaud, and a dozen parents, and I hope they're having a fine day, and I know they will. They're seated in the public and members gallery, and I ask that they rise and receive the warm welcome of the Assembly.
The honourable member for Clover Bar gave the chair notice he wished to raise a point of order.
Speaker, today during question period, particularly during the 2 supplementaries, the member from Edmonton Glengarry insisted on answers in 416 of Beauchesne Mr. Speaker, and I would like to cite 416 of Beauchesne, and perhaps the honourable member from Edmund Glengarry hasn't reached page 123 of Beauchesne in his reading of the rules of this assembly. Mr. Speaker, Beauchesne quite clearly states under sub 1, a minister may decline to answer a question without stating reason for refusing, and insistence on an answer is out of order, Mr. Speaker, with no debate being allowed. And further, under 2, sub 2 of 416, an answer to a question cannot be insisted upon if the answer be refused by the minister on the grounds of public interest or so on. Now, Mr. Speaker, answers are provided in this House when the questions are asked by the member from Edmund Glengarry. Maybe the member is not listening to the answers, or maybe he doesn't like the answers. But in any event, Mr. Speaker, today twice the member insisted on answers, and that's particularly out of order. But in previous question periods, he has done a similar thing. And because of that, he is guilty then, Mr. Speaker, also of repetition. And our standing orders 23C would apply, where he's repeating that insistence and that complaint. Mr. Speaker, I would ask you to rule on this matter, and because of that situation, also invoke section 24.1 of our standing orders.
Good point. Order, please. The honourable member for Edmund Glengarry, followed by Beggar.
Mr. Speaker, I realize that the honourable member from Clover Bar is nervous and unhappy about the Novotel situation, and I think he should be embarrassed about Novotel. I think you should be embarrassed.
Hey, we got a speaker in the making.
Hit a nerve. Hit a nerve.
And Mr. Speaker, when you're nervous about something, you try to deflect the tension, and you try to put your hand or your head in the sand, and you try to hurry things along. That's understandable, honourable member. We know you're feeling some heat on this. Now, Mr. Speaker, Beauchesne 408A1A says, oral questions be asked only in respect of matters of sufficient urgency and importance as to require an immediate answer. Now, this is certainly a matter of sufficient urgency, and it is certainly a matter of importance. Albertans, because of the decisions of this honourable member and other honourable members, have seen $566 million of taxpayers' monies lost. Mr. Speaker, I think that I and other members of our caucus are entitled to put questions and get answers. And this citation from Beauchesne clearly says that an answer should be given. Now, I draw one other observation to the Speaker's attention. I have stood in my place on a number of occasions, Mr. Speaker, and have suggested that the rule that says that answers need not be given needs change. In response to that is a requirement for parliamentary change in this assembly, the honourable member from Lethbridge West has stood in his place and has indicated that members of this assembly need only stand, ask questions, and they will get answers. The same response was given by the member from Olds Didsbury when he stood and spoke on behalf of the government on an issue of parliamentary reform. Mr. Speaker, then the leader of the Conservative Party and the Premier of this province stood instead and said that you need only ask questions, and you will get wheelbarrows full of answers. You will get answers. Mr. Speaker, I presume that the honourable member from Clover Bar believes in the strength and efficacy of his leader's statements, that when his leader says that you can stand and ask a question, you'll get an answer, there's got to be some truth in that statement. Now, Mr. Speaker, I know that the government likes to run away and hide under an archaic rule, but that rule has been waived by a premier who has said, stand, question, you'll get wheelbarrows full of information. I didn't get wheelbarrows full of information. I asked the minister responsible for telecommunications today whether he has consulted with the RCMP. He didn't answer it. I asked him whether or not...
The chair really, on this point of order, has to ask the member to stay really with the point of order and not rehash what happened in question period.
Thank you. I conclude by saying that our Premier of Alberta, has given his commitment, a commitment that I suggest waives that archaic, silly rule that ministers can run away and not answer questions, by saying that we need only stand in this assembly, ask a question, and we'll get answers. Now, does that mean something or not, Mr. Speaker?
Yeah. For Vegreville.
Speaker, if I might, with respect, briefly on the point of order raised by the honourable member for Clover Bar, he did say in his comments that the honourable member for Edmonton Glengarry is guilty, and I'd like to point out that the would-be speaker from Clover Bar has the right to raise points of order for the consideration of Mr. Speaker, but he does not have the right to pass judgment on those points of order before the fact. So he might want to take that into consideration. As well, he did make the statement in his point of order, Mr. Speaker, and it should not go unnoticed, that answers are provided in this assembly. Well, I can tell you from my contact with Albertans who watch this forum day after day, they know very well why that 45-minute portion of routine orders every day is called question period and not answer period, because questions are indeed asked, but answers are never given.
That's right.
Order, please. On the point of order, I think it boils down to a dispute between members, because the rules are quite clear that not only in this assembly, but in all parliamentary institutions, nobody has a right to insist on any answers to any questions. Now, the reference has been made to something the Premier has said, but we are governed by standing orders and parliamentary practice, and until some action of this assembly is taken to change those governances, it doesn't matter whether the Premier says it or the entire cabinet or the assembly has to make the decision to change the procedures in this chamber. And of course, honorable members all know that there is presently a special select committee that's been established to look at parliamentary reform. Something may come of that. We don't know. But until something does come of that, we are governed by the provisions of our standing orders and the interpretations of those orders and of parliamentary experience as set out in Beauchesne and Erskine May and the chair rules that there is not a point of order to be dealt with here. Orders of the day.
Committee of Supply.